Hi guys, welcome to a new video, and I thought I'd do a quick track guide on Spa. So where to start? Let's change scene. Okay, now I could have done this in the McLaren, but the McLaren is so broken on here it feels like cheating, so jumped in the Beamer, get a more realistic lap time. So if you're going to qualify, as most of you will be aware, if you try and get a good run out of here after your outlap and go all the way over to the right to get a run at the line, quite often it'll say you've exceeded the speed and it'll invalidate your next lap. But you do an outlap and then do a normal lap that's not invalidated. As long as the lap's not invalid, you can go all the way out here and it won't penalise you for going quick across the line. I haven't done that here. This is just a random lap, but that's something you can do to gain a little bit of speed. So you go in at a decent rate of knots over the line. So I'll do this. I'll slowly go through it, and then I'll jump in the cockpit and show you the flying lap. And so this is what I do at Spa. Right. So I'll put the HUD up as well so you can see my inputs. Right, so first gear to come out of that chicane in this car. In the McLaren you can do it in second and you will eliminate a gear change and it's a tiny bit quicker to start a lap. But in the Beamer, use first. So I move all the way out, ready for the first corner. And then my braking point, I don't know how well you can see it, it's easier to see in the car. There's this little patch of dirt here. That's my braking point, which is around the 100 mark. So, heavily braking, then drop it down to first and hug this inside as tight as you can. I haven't really done a very good job here, but yeah, get as close to the wall as you can and get on the power as soon as you can to exit. Use as much as a runoff as you need on the exit so you're not given any heavy steering inputs to maximise your acceleration. It may be quicker in second gear if you it's worth trying. It depends on your entrance. Your entry into that corner will determine how quick you are up the straight and through a rouge. So setup wise, you don't want to have to ever lift going through a rouge. As soon as you'd lift, then the cars behind are going to catch you and the cars in front are going to pull away, providing they've gone flat. So let's just go back a bit, slow this down. So you can go all the way over this curb to get a good line, and then as soon as you feel the car bounce, I'm starting to steer right, and I try not to touch this inside curb. You touch this in the Ferrari, it can pull you around, and it'll end up in a crash. And there's also, if you take too much of this, there is a bump that can send you off to the left. So I just try and get close to this. Try not to touch the curb. On the exit, you can take. That's about the limit. If you go any further than that, you're probably going to invalidate. So in the Beamer, stay in fifth till you hit about 158 mile an hour. And then that's where I change. When you reach 159, that's when you'll start to hit the rev limiter, so don't do that because that'll lose your time as well. So flat all the way along here. I'm using a full wing setup so the top speed isn't that great. Now my braking point is around. I mean, sometimes I'll go a little later than that. In the car, it looks like I'm just touching the start of the stripes before braking, but I've braked a little bit earlier here. But around the 100 board, the Ferrari can brake a little bit later, about a car length later, going down into third. So some cars it might be quicker in second, but I find third gear in the Beamer to be the one to use. So I'm going over this curb a little bit. It's quite safe to do that. And then I'll swing the car left quite sharply to get over this curb to hold as tight a line as possible, because from here you need to get all the way over to the left so that you're set up for the next right. So I'm staying, that's where I start to turn in, staying in third. I try not to go over that curb, just touch the rumble strip, and then you can take a lot of this exit. And this isn't a track cut, but if I was to go any further, any closer to the sand, it would be a track cut. So, going down to this right-hander, braking around where the front touches the start of the rumble strips, down into second, and then hold as tight of a line as I can around here. So if you notice, I'm coming out very slightly and then going back in. I've gone a little bit wide here, but it's kind of a double apex corner, so you can get good acceleration out of that, and then get over to the right as soon as you can. Into third, and a tiny dab of the brake just to aid the turn in, and then I don't always go over that curb, but as long as you're holding a tight line, you want to be able to get on the power as soon as you can. So I'm going on to full power now. That's how far you can go off on here. If you get any closer to the marbles, then that'll be a track cut. And then coming down to the double left-hander, I'm braking right there. So in between, about halfway in between this red piece of fence and, let's go back a touch. Yeah, so about halfway between this red piece of fence and the next. You can go a little later into it, go a bit deeper, but I found that my exit is compromised a little. So get onto the inside, into fourth, leave it in fourth, and get on full power as soon as you can. If you come in quite early into this corner, you can get under power earlier, and I've found that I'm carrying a bit more speed towards the exit. So treat this as if it was one big corner. And then coming up to the next right-hander, this bridge is my braking marker. I've always used that bridge because it's nice and easy. It's in your peripheral vision, so you're not having to look for it. And then down into third. Nice and tight round here. And then just sort of feathering the throttle. So if you watch my throttle inputs, I'm just holding some throttle going off and on it just to control, just to keep the car neutrally balanced. Full throttle, and then back off a little as I turn in for the second part, and then I'll try and get on the throttle. See, I'm never properly lifting, and I'm slowly feeding the throttle on until I reach full throttle. If you stamp on the throttle, then most cars, the back end will start to break loose and you'll lose time. So I just carefully feed it onto full throttle. slight lift there, and then take all of that on the exit. Then here, braking just before the stripes. You brake a little bit later actually for that, especially in the Ferrari. And this right-hander is kind of tricky. So into third, get on the power as early as you can, getting all the way over to the left. You literally have to touch the sand before it's a track cut here, so you can take all of this curb. And now you don't want to lift for the next part, so keep it floored, start turning just as you reach the edge of this rumble strip. You want to be turning. I try to apex this quite early. If you turn in too late, it can send you deep and you can end up going wide on this exit. Now, coming on this inside, if you notice, I'm not quite touching this curb. So some cars, the Ferrari I've had do it a couple of times. It does something weird with the traction control when you touch this. And if you look at your speed compared to a lap where you haven't touched it, you sort of bleed off a little speed. So try not to go on here. And it makes the car do a little bit of a slide as well. So use all the exit. You can cut quite a bit of that on the exit, and then flat out. Right, now you can go onto the green a bit there and just very gently turn in. If you give too much of a sharp steering input, what can happen is it can sort of hinder your acceleration a little bit, so be as gentle as you can, just barely applying any steering to maximise your speed through here. You can take a lot of that on the exit if you need to. Keeping a straight line here, aiming diagonally towards the rumble strip here, and my braking point here is so around just before you reach the dark part of the tarmac. Let's just go back a little bit just to have another. So yeah, just after the 150. Again, if you're in the Ferrari, you can go a bit deeper than that. And completing the lap, get as tight as you can around here. I've not gone as I could have gone a bit tighter, so that you can set yourself up for the left-hander. Get on the power as early as you can, opening up the steering in as straight as a line as you can so that you're not hindering acceleration. And then there you go, across the line. So if I change now back to here, let's jump on board and you can see a flying lap. Right, there you go. So the steering, we've got a steering wheel up. There we go, that's the flying lap. And if you're interested in the lap time, it was a 17:002. So not breaking any records with it, but I like using the Beamer here. It's a nice car to drive, and it's not madly overpowered. It's quite well balanced with a lot of the cars. And so that's that. Okay, I'll do another track guide next week for something. I'm not sure what track yet, because there's no championship races at the moment. I just thought I'd do some random ones. We've got the league starting again next month, so I thought I'll do a few random tracks in between. Alright then, thanks very much for watching, and I hope that's helpful to somebody, so thank you very much. See you soon. Bye bye.